The WNBA is one announcement away from a crisis that could financially destroy dozens of players. And the public has no idea how close this nightmare really is. Behind the highlight reels, the drafted rookies, the off-season super team conversations, and the viral moments from stars like Caitlin Clark and Aja Wilson, the league is hiding a brutal truth. If the season gets delayed, even by a few weeks, hundreds of WNBA players could lose everything. We're talking missed checks, expired endorsement clauses, unpaid overseas debts, suspended contracts, housing instability, even potential bankruptcies. And the wildest part? Most players don't have the financial cushion people think they do. While NBA stars can survive months without a game, the majority of WNBA players rely on every single paycheck just to stay afloat. League insiders have confirmed that over 60% of players are living contract to contract, and a delay would hit them like a financial earthquake. Because here's the part nobody talks about. WNBA salaries aren't structured like most pro leagues. Players don't get paid during the off-season. Many rely on overseas contracts to survive. A delay could collide with overseas schedules, causing players to lose both sources of income at the same time. And if that happens, some agents are already warning that players could be forced to take out emergency loans. Some could lose their apartments. Some could lose their sponsorships. And a few could be pushed into career-ending financial collapse. But here's the real shocker. There's a leaked memo circulating behind the scenes suggesting the league already knows the delay is likely, and they're scrambling to manage the fallout before players and fans find out. The question is, why would the WNBA risk financial ruin for its own players? And who's responsible for the delay nobody wants to admit is coming? Long before anyone whispered the words, "season delay," long before agents began panicking and front offices started holding emergency calls, long before WNBA players quietly began asking their managers if they should start saving money just in case, the warning signs were already there. People just weren't paying attention. Because the truth is, the WNBA has been walking a financial tightrope for years. Yes, the league has grown. Yes, social media engagement is skyrocketing. Yes, players like Caitlin Clark and Aja Wilson are bringing unprecedented attention. But behind the scenes, the WNBA is nowhere near the financial stability people assume it has. And players, especially the rookies, bench players, and non-stars, are living much closer to the financial edge than fans realize. Everyone sees the sparks on the surface. No one sees the electrical fire underneath. Because the WNBA operates differently from any major sports league in America. Players are not millionaires. Most are not even close. Many are making between $60,000 to $120,000 a year, before taxes, before agent cuts, before travel costs, before second home rentals in their team cities. And that money doesn't stretch far when you factor in the hidden expenses of being a professional athlete. Training, private healthcare, travel, nutrition, off-season housing, brand obligations, overseas play logistics. Most players don't have a financial safety net. Their paychecks are not bonuses. They are survival. So when whispers began circulating that a league-wide operational delay could hit just weeks before the season, players weren't worried about basketball. They were worried about rent. But the real backstory goes even deeper. Months ago, several team owners raised concerns about arena scheduling conflicts, new broadcast demands, and increased travel costs after expansion talk accelerated faster than expected. The league wanted to capitalize on the surge in attention, but they weren't prepared for the financial weight that came with it. Then there were the new sponsorship negotiations, new TV rights, new expansion fees, new branding deals. Everyone expected the league to cash in big. Instead, behind closed doors, things got messy. Multiple arena contracts weren't finalized. Several teams were juggling conflicts with NHL, NBA G League, and concert bookings. Travel budgets ballooned. A major corporate sponsor reportedly backed out at the last minute. And the league suddenly found itself scrambling to fill a hole no one saw coming. The WNBA was trying to grow faster than its infrastructure allowed. And the players, the hard-working women carrying the league on their backs, had no idea that they were about to get hit with consequences far beyond their control. Agents started hearing whispers. Then team trainers started noticing players privately asking questions like, "Do you think checks will start on time? Should I look for an overseas team again? Are we safe financially?" But the most alarming detail came from a leaked internal memo, one the league never intended to reach players. In that memo, executives discussed cash flow misalignment, sponsorship underperformance, venue delays, contingency plans for a postponed season start. That phrase, postponed season start, sent chills through anyone who saw it. Because unlike the NBA, where players' wealth can absorb delays, not if the WNBA is built on fragile timelines. WNBA players get paid only during the season. They do not get multi-million-dollar guaranteed contracts. They do not get luxury buffers. They do not get paid in the off-season. Some even depend on overseas contracts to keep them financially stable. And those contracts begin immediately after the WNBA season ends. If the WNBA delays its start even by a few weeks, the entire global ecosystem collapses. Players may be forced to choose between WNBA and overseas money. Overseas teams may void their contracts. Endorsement deals with performance clauses may freeze. Housing contracts in WNBA. Cities may expire. Car rentals, training schedules, and agent agreements may fall through. And for players barely scraping by financially, this isn't an inconvenience. It's devastation. But the league didn't expect the memo to leak. They didn't expect fans to start asking questions. They didn't expect journalists to start digging. And they definitely didn't expect players to find out. Because once players learned what was happening behind their backs, the panic became real. Group chats lit up. Team leaders called emergency meetings. Rookies were asking veterans whether they should start packing up. Veterans were calling their agents demanding answers. And the harshest truth surfaced. The people most at risk aren't the stars. It's the women who don't have shoe deals, the women who don't have commercials, the women who don't have millions in the bank, the women who play because they love this sport and need every paycheck to support their families. Stars like Caitlin Clark and Aja Wilson will survive. They have endorsements, brand deals, visibility. But what about the rookies making $70,000? What about the veterans on minimum contracts? What about the bench players fighting for roster spots? What about the undrafted players attending camp just hoping to make a team? If the season gets delayed, many of them won't just struggle. They will be facing financial ruin. Because there's one detail the memo conveniently ignored. A WNBA delay means every player check stops, but every financial obligation continues. Rent, insurance, childcare, food, training, bills, debt. The season is their financial heartbeat, and a delay is a cardiac arrest. But why is a delay even being considered? And who is responsible? Here's the part that changes everything. Several owners have been quietly pushing for the delay. Not because they can't afford it, but because they believe delaying the season will force the league into approving new revenue share policies that benefit them, not the players. Translation: the people who own the teams are ready to risk the financial survival of the players who make them money, just to pressure the league office into giving them more control. Players aren't just at risk of losing money. They're at risk of losing power. This is no longer a scheduling issue. This is no longer a budgeting issue. This is a battle of leverage, and the players are the ones who will bleed financially. And it's only going to get uglier from here. For weeks, the whispers inside the WNBA grew louder. The players weren't just anxious, they were terrified. Agents weren't just speculating, they were scrambling. Owners weren't just negotiating, they were pressuring. And the league office? Silent. Too silent. That's when players realized something was seriously wrong. Because silence from the WNBA isn't normal. This is a league that promotes itself constantly. A league that loves transparency and empowerment. A league that celebrates every milestone loudly. So when news of the potential delay leaked, and the league still said nothing, players knew the truth. The delay wasn't a rumor. It was already in motion. But the shock came when an insider source, someone high inside the league structure, revealed the first devastating detail. The league doesn't have enough money to start the season on time. Not enough money? But fans couldn't believe it. Players refused to believe it. But insiders kept repeating, the numbers don't add up. Travel costs doubled. Arena fees increased. Sponsors pulled out. Broadcasting demands changed last minute. It sounded impossible until another bomb dropped. Several of the smaller market teams privately admitted they couldn't afford training camp if the league didn't front emergency funds. And the league couldn't front it because they didn't have it. That alone would have been shocking. But then came the twist. Some WNBA owners want the delay. Not because the league is struggling, not because of finances, not because of travel. They want the delay because they want leverage. Leverage to renegotiate contracts. Leverage to restructure revenue sharing. And leverage to push the league into letting them cut costs, even if it destroys players in the process. One owner allegedly said in a private call, "If we push the delay, players will panic. That gives us leverage." Another replied, "They'll take whatever deal we offer if they're scared enough." This wasn't business. This was extortion by calendar. And the players? They had no idea they were being used as bargaining chips until the first domino fell. A veteran guard, known for her outspoken leadership, got her hands on a leaked transcript from an owner's meeting. She immediately shared it with her teammates. Within hours, the information spread across multiple team group chats. The owners wanted to push the league into adopting a harsh new rule. Shorter guaranteed contracts, lower minimum salaries, fewer benefits, more team control, and the quickest way to force it? A season delay. If players were financially desperate, owners believed they'd accept anything to get their checks started again. The league wasn't just planning a delay. It was planning a reset, and the players were the casualties. But then the first major twist dropped. A twist that flipped the entire situation into chaos. A highly respected WNBA star, a face of the league, allegedly confronted a league executive privately. She asked, "Why are you risking our livelihoods?" The executive hesitated, then revealed, "The delay isn't just about money. It's about fallout from a major internal investigation." Internal investigation into what? The executive refused to say more, but that was enough for rumors to explode. Players began theorizing. Was a team violating salary cap rules? Were owners misusing league funds? Was there a scandal involving sponsorship money? Was someone caught lying in public reports? Or was there something much bigger? Within days, insiders leaked more pieces. The investigation involves multiple teams, millions of dollars, and illegal financial activity that could cripple the league publicly. Some team officials allegedly funneled money through third-party training companies. Some reportedly used sponsor funds for private expenses. Others misreported attendance data to inflate revenue projections. But the most shocking revelation? One expansion-related project, celebrated publicly, was reportedly $12 million over budget. And somebody tried to cover it up. The WNBA wasn't delaying the season because it was broke. It was delaying the season because it was caught. And the league office couldn't go public with the scandal yet. Not until they cleaned up the mess internally. If this scandal leaked before the season began, the WNBA feared sponsors would flee, networks would pull deals, expansion plans would collapse, players would revolt, ticket sales would plummet, trust in the league would shatter, so their solution? Buy time, delay the season, cover the damage, and pretend it's about scheduling conflicts. But here's where the twist gets even more brutal. Players aren't allowed to speak publicly about internal matters. If they violate confidentiality, they risk fines or suspensions. So while they're drowning in fear about losing rent money, losing checks, losing endorsements, they're also being forced to stay quiet. One anonymous player said, "They want us broke and silent." Another said, "They're risking our careers because they messed up money behind the scenes." But the truly heartbreaking part? The players who suffer the most are the ones who have sacrificed everything. The rookies who moved across the country with no savings. The veterans supporting families. The players who turned down overseas deals to focus on the WNBA. The women who only have a few years left in their careers. The athletes who depend on the season to maintain training, housing, healthcare. They are the ones who will face true financial ruin. And the league knows it. A leaked email from a team front office admitted, "We expect significant player pushback, but they don't have leverage against ownership." But then another twist hit, one that shocked everyone. And a coalition of WNBA players, including several stars, secretly met with a group of NBA players who were willing to help financially if the season faced a severe delay. This included veterans known for supporting women's sports. But when WNBA executives found out about the meeting, they tried to shut it down. One exec said, "We can't let outside athletes interfere with internal league business." Outside athletes? We're talking about NBA players offering life-saving financial help. But here's the part that truly exposes the league. They weren't worried about outside interference. They were worried that if WNBA players accepted financial support from NBA players, they would gain independence. And if they gained independence, they would gain power. Power to reject the owner's demands. Power to reject changes to contracts. A power to expose the internal investigation. So the league shut it down. Hard. Threats, warnings, legal language. Everything possible to stop players from getting the backup they desperately needed. Why? Because the delay wasn't meant to force negotiations. The delay was meant to weaken the players before negotiations even start. That's the real twist. The WNBA isn't delaying the season because they can't start it. They're delaying it because they want the players financially desperate enough to accept whatever they're offered next. And the most chilling part? A new memo leaked just hours ago. A memo stating, "If financial conditions worsen, we may consider contract restructuring for all players." Contract restructuring, meaning smaller salaries, weaker guarantees, fewer benefits, more ownership control, less player freedom. In exactly the outcome the owners wanted. The delay isn't the problem. The delay is the weapon, and the players are the target. The moment players realized the delay wasn't a rumor but a weapon, something inside the WNBA community snapped. Fear turned into suspicion. Suspicion turned into anger. And anger turned into the first signs of open rebellion. Because for weeks, players remained calm. They trusted the league. They assumed leadership had their best interests in mind. But once the leaked memos circulated, once players discovered owners planned to use their financial vulnerability as leverage, trust evaporated overnight. Player group chats exploded. Rookies asking, "Am I supposed to move out? Should I break my lease?" Mid-level players asking, "Can I even afford to wait this out?" Veterans asking, "Why are we paying for mistakes we didn't make?" And slowly, the names of certain owners began appearing repeatedly. The same owners who allegedly pushed hardest for the delay. The same owners who showed the least concern for player survival. Comments from the leaked transcripts started resurfacing. "We hold the leverage. They'll take whatever deal we offer. These girls don't have savings. A delay will force compliance." That phrase, "force compliance," became a rallying cry. Players started screen recording everything, saving messages, saving audio notes, saving emails. The internal energy shifted from panic to preparation. Then came the first bombshell. A mid-tier veteran, quiet publicly, but deeply respected, leaked this message anonymously. This isn't about money. This is about a cover-up. That message spread through the league like wildfire. A cover-up? Of what? Speculation tore through the community. Was it mismanaged funds? Hidden debt? Illegal sponsorship deals? Improper expansion spending? Overstated league revenue? Missing money? But the truth was so much worse. Because 2 days after that anonymous message surfaced, a whistleblower finally stepped forward. Not a player, not a coach, not a journalist. A WNBA front office employee who had access to financial documents most players never knew existed. They came forward to a small group of players privately. Their voice was shaking. They refused to turn their camera on. The whistleblower told them, "You're being lied to. Like the delay isn't because the league is struggling. It's because someone hid millions of dollars in losses for 2 years. 2 years, millions of dollars, unaccounted, misreported, ignored." Players gasped. One began crying. Another demanded proof. The whistleblower continued. An expansion deal last year went massively over budget. Instead of reporting it, a top executive buried the numbers and shifted the losses. Shifted them where? The answer hit like a punch. Into player expense categories. Meaning on paper, it looked like players were costing more money than they actually were. So when the league claimed they were financially strained, it was because their own leadership cooked the books. And the cover-up only grew deeper. The whistleblower dropped another bomb. That executive is still in the league office. And if the season starts on time, they know the audit will expose what they did. Players were furious. "You're saying they're delaying the season to save one person's job?" "No," the whistleblower said. "They're delaying the season to save multiple careers." Turns out the executive didn't act alone. 3 senior officials allegedly approved the altered financial reports. 2 owners reportedly knew and said nothing. One sponsorship partner quietly walked away months ago because they discovered inconsistencies in reported financials. Everything players worked for was being jeopardized because leadership couldn't admit their own mistakes. But the whistleblower wasn't done. "There's one more thing you need to know," they said, "and this is why the delay is dangerous." Players leaned in, heartbeats pounding. The league is planning to restructure contracts before the audit is released. They want the new salaries in place before the truth comes out so they can blame you, not themselves, for the financial gap. They weren't just delaying the season. They were preparing to rewrite the entire financial foundation of the WNBA and use the cover-up as justification. The players were being set up to take the fall. The room went silent. Then players started asking, "What can we do? Who do we talk to? Do we have any power?" And the whistleblower delivered the first piece of hope. Yes, because there's something the league is terrified you'll find out. Players waited, terrified of what might come next. The WNBA cannot legally start contract restructuring unless the players agree. If even half the league refuses, the plan collapses. In that moment, players realized something crucial. The delay wasn't meant to weaken them financially. It was meant to make them desperate enough to agree to the restructuring. But if they stood together, if they refused to sign anything, the league's entire strategy would crumble. That revelation ignited the spark of rebellion. Players began organizing quietly. Private Zoom calls, encrypted chats, star players contacting rookies, veterans explaining the stakes, even players from rival teams uniting for the first time. But the league wasn't ignorant. They sensed unrest. And that's when the next twist hit. Hard. Late one night, players received a sudden, unexpected email from the league office. "Mandatory meeting tomorrow attendance required important season update." Panic erupted. Was this the announcement? Was this the delay? Was this the restructuring? Was this the owners trying to corner them? Some players didn't sleep that night. Others stayed awake strategizing. But when the meeting began, nothing could have prepared them for what happened. The commissioner didn't look confident. She didn't look in control. She looked shaken. She said, "We are exploring all options. No final decision has been made." But the players noticed something else. She wasn't alone. Two owners were with her on screen. One had a forced smile. The other looked defensive. And before the commissioner could finish her rehearsed speech, a star player unmuted her mic and said, "We know about the investigation." The entire meeting froze. The commissioner paused. One owner swallowed hard. The other looked furious. "But what investigation?" the commissioner asked, pretending not to understand. And the player replied, "The one involving missing money, the one involving shifted expenses, the one involving altered financial reports, the one you are using to justify contract restructuring." Half the players on the call cheered. The other half covered their mouths in shock. The commissioner completely lost her composure. "Who told you that?" she demanded. And the player delivered the line that changed everything. "We know exactly what you're trying to do, and we're not signing anything." The owners panicked. One blurted, "If you don't cooperate, the season may be canceled entirely." You could feel the tension. But another player fired back, "Cancel it. And you'll have to explain to fans and sponsors why. And we'll tell them everything." The commissioner's face went pale. Because for the first time, the players had the power. The league had something to lose. The owners had been cornered. And the whistleblower sent one last message during the meeting. "They're scared. Push harder. You're close to exposing the real mastermind." The real mastermind? Someone above the executives. Someone above most owners. Someone powerful. Someone whose identity will change everything. The league thought they could intimidate the players. They thought they could deflect questions, hide numbers, push delays, and trap athletes into accepting smaller contracts. They thought the players would cave, because historically, they always had to. But this time, something was different. This time, the players weren't scared. They were angry. And for the first time in WNBA history, they were united. The commissioner tried to regain control of the meeting, talking in circles, repeating phrases like financial restructuring, strategic realignment, temporary adjustments, and long-term sustainability. But the players weren't buying a single word. Then a veteran player, a future Hall of Famer, unmuted her mic and said, "Stop talking to us like we're stupid. Where did the money go?" The commissioner froze. The owners froze. You could hear someone's breath catch on the call. Then, for the first time since the scandal broke, the commissioner's mask cracked. "There are complexities," she began. Another player cut her off. "No, there's corruption. Tell us who stole the money." Silence. A long, terrifying silence. And then, not the commissioner whispered, "This is bigger than the league. It involves people you don't want to go up against." The chat exploded. "What does that mean? Who? Bigger than the league?" And that's when the whistleblower, watching the meeting silently from a burner account, sent a message directly to one of the players. "Ask about the investor." The player didn't hesitate. "Which investor?" she demanded. The commissioner's eyes darted off screen, as if someone in the room was warning her not to continue. One of the owners leaned forward, voice raised. "This discussion is over." But the players refused to back down. "Which investor?" a star repeated. "You're delaying the season to protect someone. Who are you covering for?" The commissioner exhaled, defeated. Then she said the sentence that detonated the entire meeting. The financial hole came from a private investor who oversaw expansion budgeting, someone who was supposed to secure new sponsorships, but instead diverted league funds into unauthorized accounts. The players were stunned. Who? Say the name. Who diverted it? The commissioner hesitated. Then finally, It's a billionaire who owns minority stakes in 2 WNBA teams and who secretly controls several sponsors. If he's exposed, half the league's money disappears overnight. The chat erupted. A billionaire? A WNBA owner? He caused this? We're suffering because of him? But the moment fans watching the live stream replay will never forget came right after. One player, trembling with rage, demanded, "What's his name?" The commissioner closed her eyes. She didn't want to say it. She wasn't supposed to say it. It was the name everyone had been avoiding. And then the whistleblower typed 3 chilling words. "It's already him." Before the commissioner could speak, another owner, the quiet one, suddenly disconnected from the call. Not muted, not frozen, disconnected. And players immediately knew that meant something. The commissioner swallowed hard, and then she said it. The name. A billionaire tech giant. A public supporter of women's sports, a major donor, a visible face at WNBA games, a man who had been praised for investing in the league's future, a man who, according to the whistleblower, had siphoned over $18 million in misallocated funds during expansion, a man who threatened to pull out entirely if the truth leaked. His identity would send shockwaves through sports media, but the commissioner stopped short of saying it fully. She gave only his initials. BM. The entire meeting froze. Players went silent. Hands shook. Someone whispered, "No way." Because there is only one billionaire connected to the league with those initials. And if that name is revealed, it won't just shake the WNBA. It will shake every major league in America. But before the players could ask more, the commissioner's screen suddenly cut to black. Then a new message appeared on the meeting interface. This call has been terminated for security reasons. Security reasons? Players began receiving private messages. Do not discuss the meeting publicly. Leaks will result in fines. This matter is confidential. A statement will be made soon. But the darkest message came from the whistleblower, moments after the call ended. They know you know now, and they'll try to blame the delay on you. Get ready. Get ready for what? The whistleblower responded again. The billionaire is panicking. He's pushing the league to announce the delay tomorrow, and he wants them to blame it on player negotiations. Meaning, players are about to be scapegoated. Fans are about to be misled. Sponsors are about to be fed a lie. And the billionaire responsible for the financial black hole? He walks away untouched. Unless someone exposes him first. And that's where the final devastating cliffhanger hits. Just as players were regrouping in their private chat, a new file appeared, sent anonymously. No name, no message, just a single attachment labeled, "The Proof." The players opened it, and what they saw wasn't a leaked memo, wasn't a spreadsheet, wasn't an email. It was a video, a hidden camera video, recorded inside a luxury skybox during a WNBA game. In the video, the billionaire, initials BM, is speaking to 2 team owners. He says, if the audit gets out, the whole league collapses. Delay the season. Blame the players. I don't care what you have to do. Just make sure my name stays buried. And the video ends. That's it. The smoking gun. Recorded. Saved. Sent anonymously to the players. But here's the cliffhanger. As soon as players tried to download it, the file self-deleted, and a final message appeared on their screens. I have the full video, but if I release it, the WNBA may not survive. You decide what happens next. So now the entire league stands on a knife's edge. Expose the billionaire and risk collapsing the WNBA. Stay silent and let players be blamed for a crime they didn't commit. Either choice detonates everything, and the world is waiting to see. Will the players save the league or save themselves? And if you're still here after that, After the billion-dollar cover-up, the leaked skybox video, the whistleblower risking everything, the commissioner melting down on camera, and the entire future of the WNBA hanging by a thread? Then you already know. This story is not over. This story is not contained. This story is about to explode. Because right now, the fate of an entire professional sports league is sitting in the hands of the very people the league tried to silence. The players. They're the ones facing financial ruin. They're the ones carrying the league on their backs. They're the ones being blamed for a crisis they didn't create. And now, they're the ones being asked to make an impossible choice. Expose the billionaire and risk destroying the WNBA, or stay silent and risk destroying themselves. And that's why I want you to jump into the comments right now and answer these. 1. If you were a player, what would you do? Would you release the video exposing the billionaire, even if it risks collapsing the league entirely? Or would you stay silent to protect the league, even if it means letting the owners blame you for their corruption? Tell me your honest answer. This debate is going to be wild. 2. Smash the like button if you think the players deserve the truth. Because the more likes this video gets, the faster Part 2 drops. And trust me, Part 2 is where the dominoes really start falling. We're talking players planning a collective shutdown, sponsors demanding answers, owners panicking behind the scenes, the whistleblower revealing the next layer of corruption, the billionaire's identity getting closer to full exposure 3. Subscribe and turn on notifications because the next update is inevitable. And it's going to change everything you think you know about how the WNBA operates behind closed doors. This isn't just a scandal. This is a turning point. We're watching history unfold in real time, and you are part of the conversation. Before you go, answer this final question in the comments. If the players release the video, does the WNBA survive? Or does it finally get rebuilt the way it should have been all along? Drop your theories, drop your predictions, and buckle up. Because the truth, it's only getting darker from here.